Monastics and Martyrdom, Geranda. When someone does not do the necessary spiritual work, will we have the faith that God will help him when a difficult time comes, so he can call upon him in prayer? Are we perhaps so put at ease by the thought that God will help us in our time of need, as to neglect the trouble of preparation? We must do the work of preparation. If one does not sow, how can he expect God to bless an abundant harvest of wheat? Man must sow, and according to what is sown, God will provide. Even in the army they say, be prepared. Geronda. How are we to prepare ourselves? When is someone prepared? When the army is on the alert, the soldiers are always ready, with their boots on, with weapons in hand, with ammunitions waiting for the command to go into battle. How long can one stay on the alert? It depends. A monk must always be prepared, and then he will never fear anything. What is there to fear? Death. Death will open the door to paradise, for under the slab of the thumb lies hidden the key to eternity. Moreover, a monk is always in a state of repentance, no matter when he dies. His flight from the world and his monastic vows are a declaration of this. He repents and proceeds to do refined spiritual work. As the love for God and neighbor increases, so the love of and concern for self decreases. That's when what St. Paul writes comes into effect. Nothing can separate me from the love of Christ. The thought of martyrdom compels worldly people to take refuge in God and to say in fear, my Christ, my Panagia. While the monk wants to be constantly near God because he loves him, many worldly people will do good simply out of fear of going to hell. But the monk does good out of gratitude, out of a desire to be thankful to God, his benefactor. Geronda. How am I to feel martyrdom and monastic asceticism? For you to understand a little of what martyrdom means, be prepared to accept even contempt with joy. And if you want to feel a little what asceticism is, since you cannot fast for 40 days as Christ did, fast at least one Wednesday, the day when he was betrayed, and one Friday, the day they crucified him. Those who desire to be martyrs out of love for Christ, but of whom there is no martyrdom, can express this burning love of theirs for Christ through a physical form of asceticism, for the sake of those departed souls who are burning and a need to find some rest. As martyrdom is a festival, asceticism is also a festival, for one finds divine consolation by avoiding all human consolation. The holy martyrs felt great joy when they had an opportunity to endure martyrdom. It was from this early martyrdom that asceticism had its beginning in a spiritual life. When Saint Constantine the Great came to power in the empire, he released the Christians from the prisons, where they were being kept to gradually eliminate them, and the persecutions ended. But those in the prisons who were waiting with joy for their turn to become martyrs were greatly disappointed when Constantine the Great alerted the course of events, altered. Thus, when they were expecting to be martyred, they were set free. Consequently, out of love for God and the burning desire to be martyred, they took to the mountains. Thus, the suffering they would have endured under Diocletian and Maximian, they imposed upon themselves through their ascetic rigors. One would go with hands tied to ropes and hang from a tree, praying with pain but with divine gladness. Another was bound for the love of Christ, saying, "This is how Diocletian used to have me tied up," and they felt great joy in enduring their now voluntary sufferings. The first ascetics began with this divine menace and devoted themselves to asceticism for the love of Christ. and then they were imitated in these ascetic rigors by others who followed them. This is how asceticism entered into our religious way of life. Still others, perhaps even madder than the previous ones, said, "We are the sheep of Christ, and ate only of the grass of the field." These were the herders. They lived so intensely aware of the benefits of God and their own insignificance that they used to say, "I am an ungrateful animal. All my life I shall eat grass." And this is what they did. They ate grass and rejoiced. Their heart would soar to heights out of love for Christ. They would simply say, "Am I not a sheep of Christ? I shall eat grass." Later, however, the church forbade this orally rigorous practice because hunters mistook these monks for wild animals and killed them. Today people cannot understand these things. They consider them to be foolishness. "Why should I eat grass like an animal?" they say, or "For what reason should I be hanging from a tree like this and tormenting my body?" But do you see what Saint Isaac says? May God grant us also to attain to such derangement, to attain such a spiritual irregularity.